It feels like every major celebrity couple split up in 2025. And it wasn't an accident. The common belief is that this year was just a cursed one for Hollywood, a random string of bad luck that claimed everyone from Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck to Jessica Simpson and Eric Johnson. But the reality, when you look at the receipts, is that this was a perfect storm of financial pressure, public relations battles, and post-pandemic reality checks that made these splits inevitable. The signs were not just hiding in plain sight, they were practically screaming. This wasn't a curse, it was a culling. For months, we've all been asking the same questions. What is the common thread that links the biggest, most shocking divorces of this year? Why did so many couples who seemed stable for years, like Jessica Alba and Cash Warren, suddenly collapse all at once? And most importantly, how did the intersecting forces of money, fame, and on-camera pressure create this massive, undeniable wave of breakups? Today, we are answering all three of those questions. We're not just repeating headlines. We have mapped the timelines, pulled the financial reports, analyzed the legal filings, and even dissected the lyrical receipts to show you the one thing all these splits have in common. It's not a curse, it's a playbook. And by the end of this, you will never look at a celebrity couple's joint statement the same way again. Let's start with the split that nobody thought would happen, but everyone should have seen coming. Jessica Alba and Cash Warren. The expectation was that they were the unbreakable, low-key Hollywood couple. They were married for 16 years, had 3 beautiful children, and most importantly, were partners in a billion-dollar business. The reality is that the business was always the problem. The divorce was just the final transaction. The first major receipt isn't a tabloid photo, it's a financial report. After The Honest Company, which Alba founded, it had its massive public offering. It went through a brutal period, but according to reports from early 2024, the company was in a significant turnaround period, posting a 10% revenue growth to $344 million for the full year 2023. Things were finally stable. So what happened? The second receipt is the timeline. On April 10th, 2024, just as all that good financial news was public, Jessica Alba announced she was stepping down from her role as Chief Creative Officer. At the time, it was spun as a move to pursue new endeavors. But in hindsight, this was the first critical step in a very long, very quiet separation. An entertainment lawyer would call this clearing the board. She was untangling herself from the day-to-day operations of the company before untangling herself from the marriage. The final receipt came in January 2025 when Alba officially filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and listing the date of separation as December 27, 2024. Legal experts, like one cited by People magazine on January 17, 2025, immediately pointed out that in a long-term marriage, The Honest Company is considered a community asset. This was never going to be a simple divorce. It was a complex corporate separation. The pressure of running a massive publicly traded company with your spouse is a pressure cooker few relationships can survive. Alba's move in April 2024 was the signal. This wasn't a sudden implosion. This was the slow, calculated, and necessary unwinding of a business partnership that just happened to be a marriage. It was a clean, quiet, corporate-style split. But what happens when a split is the exact opposite? Loud, public, and designed to inflict maximum damage. That brings us to the most shocking and frankly most brutal breakup of 2025. Lily Allen and David Harbour. The expectation was that this was the internet's favorite couple, the quirky, cool singer and the beloved gruff star of Stranger Things who got married in Vegas by an Elvis impersonator. They were the ultimate post-pandemic whirlwind romance, a fantasy of two edgy people finding each other. The reality, their entire relationship was a powder keg, and Lily Allen just lit the match and walked away. The first receipt came from a body language expert who, according to The Mirror on November 8, 2025, analyzed their final public appearance in late September 2024. The expert, Judy James, noted an aura of sadness and described Harbour looking tense or even slightly haunted. But that was just the warning shot. The real, nuclear-level receipt is Lily Allen's new album, West End Girl, which dropped in October 2025. This isn't a breakup album, it's a forensic audit of a dead marriage. According to a detailed CBS News analysis of the album on October 29, 2025, the lyrics are a complete tell-all. In the song Sleepwalking, she sings, "Been no romance since me wed, you let me think it was me in my head, and nothing to do with them girls in your bed." She details the rules of their arrangement, which were clearly broken. In the song Madeline, she sings directly to the other woman. "We had an arrangement. Be discreet and don't be blatant. There had to be payment. It had to be with strangers. But you're not a stranger, Madeline." It gets more graphic. In Pussy Playlist, she describes finding his secret apartment, singing about sex toys, butt plugs, lube inside, hundreds of Trojans, "You're so effing broken," and finding a shoebox full of handwritten letters. A PR strategist would call this controlling the narrative. Herself has called it autofiction, a savvy blend of autobiography and fiction that gives her artistic license while spilling every last drop of tea. In a November 5, 2025 interview with British Vogue, Allen confirmed she made the record in December 2024 to process what was happening. People magazine then confirmed the couple officially separated in February 2025. And the fallout? An insider report from the Tab on October 31, 2025, claimed Harbour was furious and embarrassed by the graphic details. Harbour himself, in an Esquire interview on November 4, 2025, spoke of accepting mistakes and pain as part of life's journey without ever knowing her. This split shows what happens when a whirlwind fantasy crashes into a devastating reality. Allen didn't just leave a marriage. She turned its corpse into a commercial and critical masterpiece, ensuring her side of the story is the only one anyone will ever remember. And while this was a case of new love burning out, 2025 also showed us what happens when an old love tries and fails to reignite. That, of course, is the story of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. Bennifer 2.0 was the ultimate Hollywood expectation. It was a fairy tale, a second chance at true love, 20 years in the making. The reality? It was a PR strategy that buckled under its own weight, a brand merger between two companies that had fundamentally different business models. The couple, who married in 2022, had their divorce finalized in January 2025, just 5 months after Lopez filed in August 2024. The signs were everywhere that year. We all saw the tense, joyless public appearances. There was a 47-day gap where they weren't photographed together. Then came the photos from Ben's daughter Violet's graduation in June 2024, where they were seen holding hands, but looking, as the Times of India reported on June 1, 2024, uncomfortable and tense. But the real receipt, the one that explains everything, doesn't come from a source. It comes from Ben Affleck himself. In an interview for Kevin Hart's Heart to Heart show, which aired in mid-2024, Ben Affleck gave the game away. He spoke about his wife's relationship with the public, calling her level of fame effing bananas. He told a story about walking through Times Square where a fan started running backwards, filming them, screaming J-Lo. Affleck looked exasperated, saying, "Oh my God." He even explained why he always looks mad in paparazzi photos. "Because I also don't like a lot of attention. That's why people see me and they're like, why is this dude always mad? Because somebody has their camera and sticks it in my face." This wasn't a failure of love, it was a failure of brand alignment. Jennifer Lopez's brand is public performance. Her work, her documentaries, her love life, it's all part of the J-Lo experience. Ben Affleck, on the other hand, is a director and actor who, as an insider told Us Weekly, doesn't feel as exposed since the divorce and wanted a more reserved and private life. This was a brand war. Their entire relationship, from the yacht photos to the wedding, was a public-facing performance. The moment the performance stopped being fun for one of them, the entire production was doomed. It proves the #1 rule of celebrity PR. You can't build a private life on a public-facing brand. And if Bennifer was a brand that failed, our final couple is a brand that demands destruction as part of its business model. And finally, we have to talk about Christina Hawk and Josh Hall. The expectation, or at least the public hope, was that her fourth marriage would be the one that stuck. The reality is that this was a predictable pattern, made even more volatile by the one thing her brand requires: reality television. Her entire career is built on transformation, transforming houses and transforming her own life over and over for an audience. Her split with Josh Hall in July 2024, which played out in early 2025, was shocking for only one reason. It was all caught on camera. The couple was filming the new HGTV show called The Flip-Off, which premiered on January 29, 2025, forcing her to compete against her first husband, Terry Gummusar, and his new wife, Heather Young Elmusar. The receipts here are devastating, and they come from Christina herself. In an exclusive interview with People magazine in October 2025, Christina admitted,
"I knew deep down, as soon as they started filming, it would lead to the end of their relationship." She even told People that her ex-husband Tarek joked on set, "Whatever, you guys are just going to split up in episode 2 and then the show will go on." He was right. In that same interview, Christina provided the most shocking receipt of all. She revealed red flag number 1 from the very beginning of their relationship. She said, "The first time he proposed, I said no, and he threw the ring in the pool." That was probably red flag number 1. She later told People that Hall made filming very uncomfortable for me, very hard. This wasn't a marriage, it was a co-starring role that one of them wasn't suited for. When your real life and your on-camera brand are the same thing, your relationships become just another storyline to be produced, and this storyline required a villain. The pattern is the brand, and the brand demands a new season every single time. So what did we learn from the great celebrity divorce wave of 2025? It was never a curse. It was a clear-cut case of expectations versus reality. And reality always wins. We saw that a business partnership, like with Jessica Alba and Cash Warren, can't always survive as a marriage. We saw with Lily Allen and David Harbour that a whirlwind romance can burn out and become a brutal, public-facing divorce album. With Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, we saw that a PR fairy tale can't survive when one person doesn't want to be in the story anymore. And with Christina Hawk, we saw that when your life is your brand, your relationships are just disposable plot points. The insider takeaway is this: 2025 was the year the post-pandemic bill came due. All of the psychological analysis of the post-lockdown world finally played out. Couples who overestimated their compatibility, who were forced into high-pressure situations, and who could no longer hide from their problems, all just snapped. The fame, the money, and the cameras just sped up the process. These celebrities aren't like us, but their breaking points are. And understanding this playbook is the key to seeing who is next. But this breakup playbook is just one piece of the puzzle. To see how these exact same tactics of brand control, narrative spinning, and public performance play out when the split actually happens, you need to watch the next video in our Fresh Celebrity Tea playlist. It's the essential next step to understanding the full Hollywood game.